Pokémon Infinite Fusion is an amazing game where you can fuse any two Pokémon together, including over 1,000 custom sprites, some being awesome, goofy, and even straight up creepy. And you know what else is creepy? Ghosts. You all voted for it, so I'm going to be attempting to beat this game using only Ghost Type Fusions. Our starter this time is a little ghastly, since we normally can't get 2 fusions before the first gym to match the number of Brock's Pokemon. But with that, now we can grab our first encounter, a Duskull, and make our first fusion. Ghastly and Shroomish fuse into Shroomthly, which has an amazing custom sprite, and then we fuse Teddiursa and Duskull into the creepily adorable Dursa. As always, the first rival is a cakewalk, so on this run, to make things more difficult and entertaining, I'll once again be sticking to a level cap as best as I can. I'll only use custom fusions, and no healing items will be allowed in battle, and battle mode will always be on set. Before taking on the first gym, we refused Duskull with Riolu into Dulu, and this time around I was able to successfully randomize all of the gym leaders. So now we can take on the normal type gym leader, Brock. He leads with Munchley against Dulu, but just boosts his stats while I spam counter trying to get lucky, so he switches into Spindoof and lands an Infestation while I once again just spam counter. He does start to hit rollouts, and we match his damage, but after a few, Dulu takes it out with a counter. Munchley comes in and we have to switch to Shroomthly. We set up a Leech Seed, he gets the +4 special defense, so we just Stun Spore and eventually the combo of Leech Seed and Mega Drain takes it out, defeating Brock and earning our first badge. After stomping Team Rocket into Mount Moon, we fuse Duskull with Umbreon into this pretty hilarious Skull, as well as Charmeleon and Gastly into Gasmeleon. And now for the first real rival battle. We lead with Gasmeleon against Cottonix, who immediately gets Stun Spored and Leech Seeded, which is annoying, but can eventually take it out with Ember. Solovie is next, so we switch into Skull and take it out with a few Thieves. Ninjard comes in so we can fuse it and switch into Gasmeleon, but that was pretty dumb, but thankfully he hits himself a few times and falls to Thief, defeating our rival. North of Nugget Bridge, we catch our next ghostly team member, Drifloon, and then fuse it with Mr. Mime into Driftmime, or is that Pennywise? Creepy. Then we help Bill iron out some kinks and refuse Ghastly with Pidgeotto into Gasodo. Because Misty is now a fighting type gym leader, she leads with Mani, so we send in Driftmime, and 2 Draining Kisses easily take it out. I don't know about you, but Draining Kiss is a very fitting move for this fusion. Ugh. It got somewhat dangerous with Mabel, but it did fall to a few gusts, defeating Misty and earning our second gym badge. On the way to Vermilion City, we get 2 new ghosts. We catch a Honedge and evolve a Nincada, which gets us a Shedinja, and we make some new fusions. Duskull and Munchlax fuse into Munchskull, Ghastly and Golbat fuse into Gasbat, Shedinja and Gyarados fusion to Gyaraninja, which looks incredible, and finally Honedge and Umbreon fuse into Umbridge. Our rival challenges us to another battle on the SS Sand, but his team really hasn't improved at all, so I'd like y'all's input. If you're already subscribed, would you rather see more videos like this of this game specifically, or would you be into watching Nuzlockes and challenges of the mainline games also? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, Gaspat does evolve into Honbat, sweet. Lieutenant Surge is a ghost type gym leader now, using the Pokemon that saved him during the war, which is dark. But he leads with Miss Malion versus Munchskull. After a long back and forth, we do waste all of Surge's potions, but have to switch into Umbedge, who easily finishes it off. Lampit gets brought down to its sash and then swaps into Tomb that gets nailed by 2 Shadow Sneaks and falls, and then same goes for Lampit, earning ourselves an easy 3rd gym badge. On the way to Lavender Town, we catch 3 new ghosts, Yamask, Golett, and Litwick. Then we make a handful of new fusions. First is 2 of my favorite Pokemon, Litwick and Lucario, but I don't know how I feel about Litario. Then we fuse Haunter and Magneton into Haunton, Duskull and Rampardos into Duardos that looks awesome. Yamask and Breloom fuse into Yaloom, as well as this Drifloon and Munchlax fusion, Driflax, that we quickly evolve into Driflax and again into the even better Driflax. In the Pokemon Tower, we get the Odd Keystone, which will let us get another ghost later, but our rival challenges us once again. We lead with Litario against Whimsicxio when it Volt switches into Litzel, who blocks our Flame Burst with Flash Fire. But his team is pretty underleveled at this point, so Litario takes down Litzel and Slugbass before falling to Solovie. Driflax comes in and fittingly takes it out with Payback, then the Axgon with Body Slam, Whimsicxio with a Phantom Force and a Payback, and then Yaloom defeats Ninjard and our rival. On the way to Celadon City, we catch our next ghost, a Mimikyu, and fuse it with Hitmonchan into this awesome Scarecrow. Umbedge evolves into Umblade, Duardos evolves into Desardos, Yaloom evolves into Koffaloom, and then we find Giovanni in the sewers and challenge him to a battle. His team is very strong and usually gives us quite a bit of trouble. We lead off with Umbedge against his Hauntsing, it swaggers us, and after hitting ourselves we set up a Swords Dance and now at +4 attack. A resisted Shadow Claw does good damage. We predict the heal and Moonlight up to almost full and a few more bring it down. Kekrior comes in and we hit it with a Night Slash that is resisted and breaks Zoshin's disguise. We try to heal but we get flinched, so down goes Umblade. It somehow survives a Bullet Punch from Mimichan, so after breaking our disguise another one takes it out. The real Kekrior is next and it Shadow Punches and changes into a Dark type, so close combat can't quite get the KO, but a priority Bullet Punch can. His ace Smeargar comes in, so then we just Bullet Punch for Chip and bring in Driflax. Smeargar Destiny Bond, so Driflax's payback takes them both out, and I guess it's true, an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. But Giovanni's defeated and it's time to take on Erica. She's been randomized into an Ice type gym leader, so we lead with Mimichan. Glaybat just keeps trying to use Miracoat for some reason and we just keep Bullet Punching, but we know she's gonna heal, so we switch into Haunton, paralyze it and knock it out with an Electro Ball. Then she sends in an adorable Mew and Delibird fusion, so we once again Thunder Wave and Electro Ball. It survives one but falls to the next. Swimer easily gets taken out by Flash Cannon, defeating Erica and earning our 4th badge. Now that the southern roots of Kanto are opening up, we're gonna rotate our fusions. First we fuse Dusclops and Venusaur into the amazing looking Venuclops. Then Arcanine and Drifblim fuse into Driftnine. Cofagrigus and Gyarados have an incredible custom fusion, Coffados. Mimikyu and Slaking fuse into the beastly Mimikking, and in Lavender Town we ring the bell at just the right time and unlock a secret tomb, containing the Reaper Cloth for Dusclops. Then in Pokemon Tower we catch a Shuppet, Misdreavus, and a Rotom, and then Haunton evolves into Genton. We also evolve Shuppet into Banette, Dusclops into Dusknoir, and make some new fusions. First we fuse Rotom and Glaceon into Glaytom, Dusknoir and Granbull into Granoir, and Gengar and Whimsicott into Gencott. Finally, Umbreon and Misdreavus into Misrion, and up next is Koga. He's been randomized into a Dragon-type gym leader, so we lead with Coffados against Toganair, and easily take it out with a few Ice Fangs. Carcatini falls even easier, but then he sends in Parakia, a Palkia Parasect fusion, which is an absolute beast. After trading blows bringing both of us low, he swaps into Kyone, another legendary fusion, which takes out Coffados. But Glaytom comes in and takes out both the Kyone and the Parakia with Ice Beams, earning our 5th gym badge. We fuse Dusknoir and Shuckle into this absolutely incredible custom fusion and head to Silph Tower where our rival challenges us once again. We lead Glaytom against Whimsray and then it just Volt switches into Lampsol and Glaytom takes that out with an Ominous Wind. Glaytom easily KOs Fragon with an Ice Beam, but Ryupion takes it down with Shadow Ball, but Mimikyu can handle it with a few Shadow Claws. Whimsray comes in and once again Volt switches, this time into Magtech. Mimikking gets Toxic, but can eventually take it down. Whimsray's Giga Drain plus Toxic damage does take out Mimikking, so we need to send in the terrifying Shunor and defeat it with a Bug Bite. Niniard does big damage with Iron Head, does manage to bring down Shunwar, and Misrion is able to come in and finish it off, defeating our rival. But hey, at least he's nice enough to help us battle Giovanni. Primarino is easily taken down after just a few attacks. Coffados gets hit hard by Dark Pulse and flinches, so on the next turn faints. So we send in Misrion for the Umbreon Fusions combo and take out Ryras. Between Psychic and Assurance, Gencon falls with the help of Sandstorm. Misrion is eventually able to take out the Sand Queen as well, defeating Giovanni. And with Team Rocket being forced out of Saffron City, we can take the train over to Johto to pick up some more evolution stones. So Doublade evolves into Aegislash, Misdreavus into Mismagius, Golett into Golurk, and then Litwick into Lampent, and then Chandelure. With all these new evolutions, we make some more new fusions. First, Aegislash and Klinklang fuse into Klinkslash, Mismagius and Flygon fuse into Mismagon, Chandelure and Charizard fuse into my favorite fusion of the run so far, Shandizard. Golurk and Hitmonchan fuse into Hitmonlurk, and finally Cofagrigus and Swampert fuse into Coffapert. Sabrina was randomized into a Steel-type gym leader this time, so we lead with Shandizard, into a less than ideal matchup against Blastodon, so we swap into Klinkslash, and after wasting a few potions, Sabrina swaps into Armoadon and just sacrifices it to Sacred Sword. Agelosian is next, and we lower its attack with King Shield and then switch into Shandizard, who takes it out with 2 flamethrowers. Blastodon comes back in for the rematch, but falls to a single Shadow Shadow Ball. Her final Pokemon, Ryario, comes in, and it gets pretty dangerous with Bone Rush, but Shandizard survives and burns down the Ryario, defeating Sabrina and earning our 6th gym badge. We get the Spiritomb from the Odd Keystone and make some more new fusions. First is Mismagius and Lapras fusing into Mismorass, then Rotom and Vaporeon fuse into Rotom Wash, Dusknoir and Venusaur fuse into Venonnoir, Gengar and Kabutops fuse into Gentops, and finally, Chandelure and Sceptile fuse into my new favorite fusion so far, Shandatile, and it's time to take on Blaine. He's been randomized into a Ground-type gym leader, so we lead with Venonnoir and set up a Leech Seed and Confuse Ray on the Flaking. After wasting a potion, Blaine switches into Picatar, which survives on its sash but knocks itself out on our Rocky Helmet. Ripidactyl comes in, so we set up a Leech Seed and Confusion once again. We bring it low and switch into Vapor Tom, knowing it's gonna faint this turn regardless, and then Flaking and Q-Dial easily go down to Surf, defeating Blaine and earning our 7th gym badge. Now we overhaul our team before taking on one of the biggest challenges in the game. First, we fuse Dusknoir and Infernape into Infernoir, Gengar and Electivire into the menacing Genvire, Cofagrigus and Rhyperior fuse into Cofagrior, Mimikyu and Tyranitar fuse into Mimitar, and Spiritomb and Togekiss fuse into Togetomb. Giovanni's master plan all along was to fuse the 3 legendary birds together into Zapmokuno, which is terrifying because it has 3 separate life bars and 3 separate attacks per turn. Here we go. We lead off with Cofagrior, and a Rock Blast can take out the Moltres head, but then it gets taken out by an Ice Beam. But with the threat of Flamethrowers gone, we can safely send in Clink Slash, or so we thought. Iron Head does take out the Articuno head, but Thunderbolt crits and does massive damage, and another brings down Clink Slash. We send in Genvire, who resists all of its attacks and can bring it down with a few Shadow Balls, defeating Zapmokuno and Giovanni. Before taking on the 8th gym, we make some new fusions. First we fuse Golurk and Venusaur into Venulurk, then Cofagrigus and Zapdos into Coffados, Aegislash and Leafeon into this awesome Forest Sword Leaf Slash, Mismagius and Jolteon fuse into an awesome Broomstick Riding Witch, and we can bring Shandatile back onto the team. And now the final gym leader, Giovanni, has been randomized into using water types. We lead with Venulurk against Lapbro, and a quick Leech Seed and Petal Blizzard bring it down. Next is Azuma King, and if it has huge power, that is terrifying. And it does, and down goes Venulurk. We send in Leaf Slash, and a Leaf Blade can't quite get the KO, so we Swords Dance on the heal. King Shield to lower its attack, but the punishment still knocks out Leaf Slash, so we send in Genvire. Giovanni wastes some full restores, and Azuma King falls to Thunderbolt. Tirade obviously didn't stand a chance here, but then I get careless and try to Thunderbolt this Ground-type Psype, and it gets an Amnesia off, but it still goes down to a few Shadow Balls. Feraray is next, and it is part Electric, so we just Shadow Ball a few more times and it goes down, defeating Giovanni and earning our 8th and final gym badge. Now we can make our last batch of fusions. First, Snorlax and Dusknoir fuse into Snornor, Mismagius and Togekiss fuse into Togekiss. We bring Coffados back as well as Mimitar, but we end up swapping Coffados for this Cofagrigus and Empoleon fusion, Empagrigus, as well as Togekiss for this Mismagius Typhlosion fusion, Mismelosion. And our final team is set. The Ghost Normal Snornor with Immunity, Ghost Grass Shandatile with Flame Body, Ghost Steel Empagrigus with Mummy, Ghost Electric Genvire with Motor Drive, Ghost Dark Mimitar with Disguise, and the Ghost Fire Mismelosion with Levitate. The Elite Four members aren't randomized because the game crashed every time I tried to challenge them, so they all have their normal modern mode teams, which is honestly probably more difficult, so here we go. Our first challenge is the Water-type Elite Four member, Lorelei. We lead with Genvire against Polyleon and one-shot it with Thunderbolt. Now Swampray comes in, so we switch to Shandatile, who takes decent damage from Waterfall, but we can recover it with Giga Drain. And a few more take it out with Shandatile at full health. King Drio is next, and we know it outspeeds, so we sacrifice Shandatile for a clean switch into Genvire that easily takes it out with Thunderbolt. Gyaraku is next, and it also goes down to a few Thunderbolts, and then comes in Spiramuku, and we actually can take it out pretty easily as well, but Innards Out takes Genvire with it. We send in Snornor against her legendary Milotina. We take almost half from Thunderbolt, and we land a Toxic. Thanks to leftovers, we do survive the next one and land a pitiful Shadow Punch. But then it misses its next 2 attacks, so we land 2 free Body Slams and Toxic damage is adding up. And then we survive the next Hydro Pump on 4 HP and take out the legend, defeating Lorelei. Our next challenge is the Rock-type Elite Four member Bruno. We lead with Empagrigus against Tyrant Flame, and it really can't do much to Empagrigus, and Surf is starting to chip away, so he U-turns into the legendary Probodon. And its drought sets up the sun, so Surf doesn't do much. So with that, we take a risk and we send in Miss Melosion, eat an Eruption, and take it out with 2 more attacks. Octostar comes in and we land a strong Shadow Ball before getting knocked out by a critical hit Ancient Power. Genvire comes in and cleans up a Thunderbolt, and does the same to Tyrant Flame, but that ends with Marorior taking us out with Bone Meringue. Shandatile easily takes it out with Giga Drain, as well as the Armatops and the Cray-Ray, defeating Bruno. Next up is the Poison-type Elite Four member Agatha. We lead with Snornor against Clefairy, and she does set up 2 layers of spikes, but wastes all of her full restores, and Clefairy goes down to an Earthquake. Duskbloom is taken out with 2 Shadow Punches, and now the most annoying matchup by far, the absolute tank battle between Umzing and Snornor. Eventually Snornor comes out on top though, and in comes Kroros, who falls to an Earthquake. Shandabok hits hard with Fire Blast and barely survives in the red from Earthquake, but we somehow survive another one and take it out with a Shadow Punch. Muo is next, and it finally brings down Snornor, and then Genvire comes in and one-shots the legend with Thunderbolt and defeats Agatha. The final Elite Four member is a Flying type Master, Lance. We lead Genvire against Togaflame and one-shot it with Thunderbolt. Then the awesome Dark Knight comes in and destroys Genvire with Dark Pulse. So we send in Mimitar, and Lance heals for some reason, and we one-shot Dark Knight with Play Rough. We crunch the Shandemry and it Pain Splits, which was actually a great play, and then he swaps into Doobat. He heals again for some reason, so we land a weak crunch and hard swap into Empagrigus. It really can't touch us, and 2 Shadow Balls bring it down. Shandemry comes back in and we somehow survive a Shadow Ball and take it out with our own. The scary Sepdactyl is next, so we set up a Toxic. Its Power Herb boosted Sky Attack misses, which is hilarious, and we take it out with 2 Hexes. Agement comes in and we do manage to survive 1 attack and land a Shadow Ball, lowering its special defenses before going down. So we send in Mimitar, who in this game you regain your disguise every time you switch in. So we land a Crunch, get a lucky Confusion hit, and take down the Agements, defeating Lance and the Elite Four. And it's finally time for our final challenge of the run, against none other than our own rival. We lead off with Mismelosion and melt down his Nincharp with 2 flamethrowers. Ryurion is a beast that you cannot underestimate, so we land an Eruption and barely survive a Dark Pulse, and then we swap into Mimitar. Oddly, he heals here, so we get a free switch in and land a quad effect of Leech Life. It wishes, heals, and heals again, so it does manage to survive, and then he hard swaps into Hacksmiths. Disguise blocks the Earthquake, and we land a weakened Play Rough, but then he hard swaps again back into Ryurion, so Play Rough plus Leech Life brings it down. Hacksmiths comes in, and after a second Intimidate drop, we switch into Empagrigus while he D-dances, and then nail it with an Ice Beam. Shandevile is next, and we both miss our first attacks, but we survive the next Fire Blast, and thanks to its Flame Orb, take it out with a Hex. The terrifying Torterneon comes in and knocks out Empagrigus with a Flare Blitz, but notice here how Mummy activates and takes away its Shell Armor ability. On the next turn, Mimitar comes in and immediately lands a crit hit thanks to Empagrigus' Mummy ability, and then 2 more bring down the Sinnoh Starter Triple Fusion. A-Ray comes in and we can't do much to it, so after taking a T-Bolt, we swap into Mismelosion for the Sacrifice, and then we send in Snornor. His first Stone Edge misses, and we hit hard with an Earthquake, and then 1 more finishes it off, becoming champion and completing the run. I hope you enjoyed watching as much as I did making it. Be sure to check out my next runs of this game and others, and don't forget to subscribe so you can catch the next one. No, seriously, only 1% of you are. It's free. Anyways, see you next time.